Hi, it's Karen with Living Our Dream Homestead, where today we're going to be making pumpkin crumb cake muffins. So the first thing I ended up doing, I turned on my oven to 425 degrees, and we will be using a muffin tin today, and I put in cupcake liners in the muffin tin. If you do not have cupcake liners, you could go ahead and just spray your muffin tin, the cavities. We're going to be using about 15 muffins today we're going to be making. So the first thing I ended up doing is I got a large bowl, and in it I put 1 3/4 all-purpose flour. I put in 1 teaspoon baking soda and 2 teaspoons of ground cinnamon. I also put in a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Now, if you don't have pumpkin pie spice, like I didn't have it, I needed to make my own. So you ended up using a 1/4 teaspoon of ground cloves, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg, and it would be ground, a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice. You mix all this together, and that makes 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. I also added in 1/2 teaspoon of salt, and then I just used a whisk to whisk it up. And now we're going to go ahead and put that aside. Now in a medium bowl, I am going to go ahead and whisk in 1/2 cup of canola oil. You could use vegetable oil if you do not have canola oil. Then I ended up having 1/2 cup of granulated cane sugar and then 1/2 cup of brown sugar. Okay, now we're going to add to this mixture 1 1/2 cups of pumpkin. You can use canned pumpkin. Again, just make sure it's the one that doesn't have the spices added in it. This was pumpkin I had frozen. And we're also going to add in 2 large eggs. And then we're going to add in a 1/4 cup of milk. Now, and it needs to be room temperature. So I kind of set it out while I was getting everything ready. It can be 2% milk. It can be whole milk. Whole milk might even taste even better. Go ahead and put that in there. And I'm going to go ahead and whisk all this together. Your mixture should look like this after I've whisked all that together. If you like what you're seeing today, please hit the subscribe button down below. All right, now we need to go ahead and incorporate the wet ingredients into the dry ingredients. I'm going to go ahead and pour that in there. And we are just going to go ahead and fold it in to the dry ingredients. That was all that pumpkin. And we had the pumpkin pie spice in there. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and get ready with the muffin tin, and we'll go ahead and fill it. Your batter should look like this. We're going to go ahead and put it in our muffin tin and almost up to the top, but not quite, because we're going to go ahead and then make the crumb topping. I filled the batter almost up to the top, not quite. I'm going to go ahead and now we're going to make the crumb topping to go on top of these muffins. I'm back. We're going to go ahead and make the crumb topping. In this bowl, I put in 3/4 cup of all-purpose flour. Then I put in a 1/4 teaspoon of granulated sugar and then a 1/4 teaspoon of brown sugar. Then I went ahead and put in a teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. Now the other pumpkin pie spice, again, I told you was a 1/4 teaspoon of ginger, cloves, nutmeg, and allspice, which was correct, but it also needed to have cinnamon. Now, the ingredients that we made already had the cinnamon separately, so we didn't have to add it. So it ended up making the spice. So this pumpkin pie spice, we had to add the cinnamon for the topping because there's no other cinnamon added. So to make the pumpkin pie spice, it gets confusing, is 3/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And then it is a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, a 1/4 teaspoon of ground ginger, a 1/4 teaspoon of cloves, and then a 1/4 teaspoon of nutmeg. That is what makes pumpkin pie spice. If we added it again, that will make 1 teaspoon of pumpkin pie spice. If we did that again where we made the batter, we would have over cinnamoned it, and that's why I did it this way. So I went ahead and mixed this up, and you put in 6 tablespoons of melted butter, and it ends up just looking like this dry dough thing. And now we're going to go ahead and put this crumb topping on the muffins. You can either use a spoon. My hands are clean, so I'm just going to go ahead and break it up. And you're just trying to cover the dough in the muffin tin, the batter, all over. And I will do this all over the muffins. Once I get this all covered, we will bake the muffins at 425 degrees for the first 5 minutes. Then we will lower the temperature to 350 degrees, and we will bake it between 16 to 17 minutes or until the toothpick comes out clean. Here's the crumb topping. I got them all covered up. So I went ahead and kind of pushed the crumb topping on, and we tried to, again, cover up as much as the batter as we can. When we do put it in the oven at 425 for the 5 minutes, and then we lower the temperature, you do not need to open the oven. So just keep it, put it in there for 425 for 5 minutes, then just lower your oven temperature, and then set your timer. The muffins are all done. They ended up baking 16 minutes. They now need to cool in the pan for 10 minutes before we remove them. And now we're going to go ahead and work on the icing that we'll be drizzling over the top of these pumpkin crumb cake muffins. I'm back. The muffins are out of the muffin pan. They still are very hot, so we need to go ahead and make the icing. I took in this bowl 1½ cups of confectionery sugar. Then I added in 2 tablespoons of real maple syrup. And then I added in 2 tablespoons of milk. And I just used 2% milk. Again, if you have whole milk, you can use that. It tastes even better. Then I mixed it in, and it still was a little thick. So I went ahead and I added in another ½ teaspoon of milk, because I want the consistency of, you can see it, how it's going to drizzle. The other one was not drizzling. So underneath this cooling rack, I put a piece of wax paper. I'm going to go ahead and drizzle over the muffins on top. That way I can catch any of my leaks and I don't have to clean up the counter again. And again, you can do whatever design you want to do on top of your muffins. They smell wonderful. They do smell like pumpkin pie. Now, my husband and I, we don't really like pumpkin pie, but these are pretty good. I mean, I'll eat these or I'll eat pumpkin bars, but just eating plain pumpkin pie, no, we don't like that. But like I said, these are delicious. These freeze well. If you want to freeze them, you can keep them in your refrigerator up to 1 to 2 days. or actually, excuse me, you can keep them up in your refrigerator for about a week. I meant if you keep them out, it would be about 1 to 2 days, and I would have them covered up, you know, like in a container that's got a lid on them. So I'll put a little bit more on these here and work on that, and then we'll get ready and have a taste test. All right, I'm back, and the muffins are all done. These were pumpkin cake crumb muffins, and they look so good. Up close there, I don't know if you can see that. There we go. So let's go ahead and try it. It is delicious. With the pumpkin, it is really moist. It is not dry. And with the crumb topping, you can taste the cinnamon and all those spices on top. And then you got the glaze with the maple syrup. Oh my goodness gracious, it is to die for. This is delicious. Like I said, I usually, with all the muffins that it ended up making 16 muffins for me instead of 15. Sometimes at 15, 16, depends on how you fill up the muffins. I'll end up sharing with my family, and I also can freeze these muffins. These are, like I said, excellent to freeze and then just to take out when you want a muffin, especially maybe in the winter time when it's really, really cold. Thank you for watching. This was Karen with Living Our Dream Homestead, and I hope you have a good day.